Hello, welcome to Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. We are going to be continuing the sports because I just did Shez's ones and I completely forgot. There's all these to do. So, let's get on with it, eh?
Time certainly does fly, Ash. Why, it's already been a year and a half since you became a knight. Still, it must be difficult working in such unfamiliar lands. Are you doing well?
Yeah, I'm great. Everyone in the capital has been really nice, honestly. If anything, I guess I'm still just unsure if I have what it takes to be a knight.
Do not give in to doubt. Remember, most knights currently in the service of House Blathed only entered the castle after I became king. You have fought with me for much longer. So in that sense, you have the advantage.
Sure, but I'm not nobility. I don't even have a crest. So I want to repay you for appointing me, even if it costs me my life.
I see. Tell me, Ash, what exactly does knighthood mean to you?
Huh? I'd say knights are loyal to the king, and willing to give their lives to protect the crown and their people. That's right. Right?
That is indeed what many claim a knight should be, but reality is rarely so rosy. Put bluntly, it is the job of a knight to dispense death. The code of chivalry emphasizes loyalty, yes, but this is only to ensure knights remain under the complete control of their lords.
Well, I guess that's true.
I have no quarrel with your dedicating yourself to such a code, but there is no need to stake your life upon it.
But...
My closest friend was a knight who served the royal family. He was near to my own age, and I admired him greatly. But one day, I watched him die. He stood his ground and fought bravely, but his life was snuffed out in the blink of an eye all the same.
You're talking about Felix's brother, right? I remember Lord Rodrigue mentioning him.
His dying screams echo in my mind to this day. My point, Ash, is that there may come a time when you must decide between your loyalty and your life. And though I know this to be a selfish request, when that day comes, I want you to choose life.
Even if it means turning my bow against you?
Especially then. If you find yourself unable to follow through, I beg you to leave the battlefield quietly and with all haste. I pray it never comes to that.
Right. I have something to say, though. I don't think that friend who protected you threw his life away because he was a knight. He just wanted to save his best friend.
Even if it meant destroying futures that might have come to pass had he but lived?
Look, I don't know if what he did was right. So if you're asking me not to throw my life away, I promise that I won't. But I don't think it's wrong to fight to the end for someone that you love.
Well put. Perhaps you're right. In any case, I must be off. I have drills I must attend to. After all, I must do everything in my power to be the sort of ruler worthy of such loyalty.
You've done more than enough, Your Majesty. We all respect you to the ends of Fodlan.
Ah, Mercedes. Did you go out?
Yes, I went to the town of Camulus to help the church.
I see. And how did you find it?
The townspeople seemed fine enough, but the clergy were very busy. As you know, lots of people fled to Fargus when the war started. And while a number of towns took in refugees, Camulus is particularly busy on that front.
In that case, I should send reinforcements and resources from the capital. I will speak with Lady Rhea about this presently.
Thank you, Dimitri. I'm sure the clergy will be pleased to hear it. I'm incredibly grateful to you for coming to the church's aid, you know. Most of those people would have ended up homeless if not for your actions.
As I recall, you fled from the Empire yourself at a rather young age.
Yes, and it was awful. We had nothing to eat and nowhere to shelter from the wind and rain. If not for the priest who helped us, I don't know what would have happened. Are you all right, Dimitri? You seem sad.
My apologies, Mercedes. But may I speak plainly?
You don't need my permission to do that, silly. What's troubling you?
I have been wondering for some time if accepting the Central Church was the correct decision. By giving them shelter, I have also given the Empire the perfect excuse for invasion.
You took them in because you thought it was the right thing to do. Isn't that so?
Yes. The Church of Seros is deeply entwined with the kingdom's history and politics. The Crown's authority is granted by the Church, which also takes part in governing our villages. Were I to sunder that connection, nobles and commoners alike would be furious. The kingdom would be split anew, and chaos would reign.
That is a tough one. It seems like you're going to end up with a fight no matter what you do. Well, at the very least, I know the townspeople are grateful. But I also know it's not as simple as all that. I'm sorry. That probably didn't do much to help ease your concerns.
No. I should apologize for making you listen as I prattle on endlessly.
Oh, nonsense. If it helped you in any way, I'm glad to do it.
Well, I certainly do feel better. Thank you, Mercedes. And please know that I am here for you for whatever reason, no matter how small. No, Annette! Get back!
That was a close one. Good thing we had water nearby.
My apologies. It was foolish for me to attempt that without prior experience.
No, it was my fault for asking you to try and light it with magic.
The fault is mine alone. You had no way of knowing that my aptitude for magic was so lacking. And we were lucky it only resulted in a small explosion. Had the flames spread, it easily may have proved disastrous.
Aw, don't beat yourself up over it. We were able to put it out quickly, and that's all that matters.
What a remarkably positive spin on the matter. Still, I'm relieved you weren't hurt. I have always been abysmal at magic. My father and grandfather were the same, so perhaps I inherited it from them.
Yeah. I guess you're better suited to fighting with something sharp and pointy.
Actually, I had a fair amount of interest in becoming a mage when I was a boy. An old friend of mine would give magic demonstrations, and I always found myself terribly jealous of her abilities.
Well, you know there's a school of sorcery in the capital, right? You definitely should have enrolled.
But I knew they only accepted students who display at least a modicum of talent for the craft. Every time I glimpsed one of those students, I found myself envious of their skill.
I had no idea. But hey, if you're interested, how about I teach you a bit? We can start right now.
You would do that?
Sure. See, I've been helping out at the school ever since I came back to the capital. And after talking with everyone there, I've been thinking it would be fun to, you know, teach somebody. I'd like to help people get better at magic, even if they're really, really, really bad at it.
A fine aspiration. If you'll have me, I would be honored to be your first pupil. Though I imagine your skills can be put to use helping many people besides just myself. I know I am not the first person, nor will I be the last, to accidentally conjure up an explosion.
Come on, Dimitri. It's not like I'll be that much help. But regardless, I'm confident that becoming a teacher is the path for me. Right then, Your Majesty, let's start by practicing some fire magic.
You want me to cast the same spell again? Well, if you think it best.
Fire spells are the most basic magic of all. You just let the old power build up, and then boom, let loose. Okay, so start by using your hands to focus your energy.
Like this?
Don't be so hesitant. We've got plenty of water here, so really lean into it.
I wasn't intending to hold back. Perhaps I could charge it up a bit more.
Your Majesty, are you all right?
I fear we may have a long road ahead of us.
Ah, Your Majesty. Tending to your weapon, I see. My apologies for interrupting you.
It's all right. I just finished. Is there something you need, Rodrigue?
Yes, in fact. I received this from Matthias when I was in Gautier territory the other day.
From the Margrave? But this sword is...
He said he'd borrowed it from Lambert years ago, and had long since forgotten about it. What sort of laggard keeps a loan so long he has to return it to the lender's son? 30 years!
That would have been around the time you all attended the Officers' Academy together, correct? Would you mind telling me the story of this sword?
It started when our class was given a mission to eradicate a bandit encampment. Foolish as I was at the time, I dashed in ahead of the others, leaving me and my entire unit stranded behind enemy lines. Apparently, your father and Matthias started arguing about whether or not it was worth coming to save me. Broke out into a full-on fistfight before long.
That's a surprise. I wouldn't have expected that of my father, much less the Margrave.
Well, they were both pretty feisty in their day. Neither of them wanted to back down, I'm sure. On one hand, you had Matthias, insisting they wait for aid from the church. Supplies were running low, so charging in could have gotten everyone killed. On the other, Lambert was so determined to come to our rescue, he'd have gone all by himself if he had to. No idea whose plan won in the end, sadly. All I know is they fought their way through the enemy lines together. And lucky for me, they found us before the bandits did.
So, my father tended to charge in recklessly as well. Or perhaps he was just naive in his youth.
Story goes, Matthias's lance broke while they were fighting their way toward us, so Lambert lent him this sword. As he was giving it to me, he couldn't help but laugh about how it slipped his mind for all these years.
Considering what I know of the Margrave, I have my doubts that he actually forgot it at all.
You're probably right. This is just my opinion, but I don't think he ever really managed to accept Lambert's death until you ascended the throne.
Perhaps. In any case, please tell him I've received it. And thank you for relaying that story to me. It seems even in his youth, my father was willing to do whatever it took to see those close to him safe. Yet here I've gone and started a war, knowing full well it will hurt those I care about most. He'd likely call me a fool if he were here today.
I'm not so sure about that. Yes, he did treasure his friends, but I don't think he would have been too keen on abandoning the church either, considering all they've done to protect the people of Fargus.
Rodrigue, you knew my father well. Could I ask you to do something for me? If I ever attempt anything that would bring shame to his name, please.
Say no more. I'll stop you, even if I have to lay down my life to do it. I already promised him the same thing, actually.
You have my deepest thanks.
What were you thinking? Sticking your nose into some soldier's fight? You have a lot of growing up to do if you're still throwing yourself in the middle of random brawls like that. Keep this up, and House Fraldarius' reputation will be rolling in the mud with you. Not to mention how it reflects poorly on His Majesty, considering he's the one who made you a duke.
I know all that.
Do you? Because you don't look like a man who's achieved some fantastic new enlightenment.
This is rich coming from you. I liked it better when you used to take the heat.
Are you kidding? You were always the one being scolded when we were kids.
Only because you were a half-wit who kept dragging me into your ludicrous schemes.
Was that how it was? Now, whatever you say. But tell me, what's got you swinging your fists around this time?
Nothing specific. I just couldn't back down after getting involved.
You really need to start being more careful. Look, you've even got a bruise going. Who knows what would happen to Fargus if we lost you?
I won't say you'd be fine without me, but you do know I could fall in battle any day now, right?
Bite your tongue, Felix. Just think for 2 seconds. What would happen to Fargus? And to His Majesty if you died? He's got too much on his plate already. Yet he insists on doing everything himself. War with the Empire, battles outside Fodlan, governing the kingdom, reforming the entire social structure of pretty much everything. If he didn't have you at his side, he'd fall flat on his face.
You speak as though you have no stake in this whatsoever. We're in the same situation. One of these days, you'll inherit the title of Margrave Gautier. Are you ready for that?
I know. Trust me, I am very well aware. Which is why I always act with the utmost integrity.
You're the complete opposite of integrity. Though I suppose you have been attempting to shake some of your old habits recently.
You know, it wouldn't kill you to pat me on the back every once in a while.
You're like a baby that just learned to walk. A pat on the back would only knock you over. You can try to make up for your past actions all you want. But that kind of thing isn't easily swept aside. The sooner you realize that, the better.
That tongue of yours is sharp as ever, I see. Never change, Felix.
I guess I was a touch reckless this time. As much as I hate to admit it. So I'll give you that much.
My apologies, Felix. Am I getting in the way of your work?
No, I just finished up. What do you need?
I picked this up on the training grounds. I think it might be yours.
Hey, that's my brother's spur. I thought I'd lost it.
I ran around asking all the knights who it belonged to. The royal crest made it seem important. You really should take better care of it. Didn't Glenn receive this as a gift from the late king?
Yup.
Don't shrug me off like that. I am surprised. You never struck me as the type to keep such a memento with you.
Guess I thought it might come in handy someday.
Whatever you say. Just make sure you don't misplace it again.
Ingrid. Wait,
Yes?
you should have it.
Excuse me? Absolutely not. I could never accept something so precious.
When my brother was appointed by the king, who do you think he told first? It wasn't me or my father. It was you. So take it.
But
If you want the truth, I always planned to give it to you anyway. I just never found the right time.
well, if you insist, then I accept. Thank you, Felix.
But don't get the wrong idea. I'm not doing this so you can go drown yourself in grief.
Oh, I am very much aware. I know full well how much you detest such displays of sentimentality. I should get going. I have a meeting to attend. Farewell, Felix.
Ugh, goodness, but that is heavy.
Could you grab the feet over there, Mercedes?
Yes, of course. Give me one moment, please.
Please, don't push yourself if you're tired. I can do it.
Well, we managed to finish. I'm so sorry for leaving the bulk of the work to you.
Do not worry about it. You are always helping me with so many other things. Besides which, I am used to taking care of horses. It barely even feels like work anymore.
I suppose House Galatea is famous for its Pegasus Knights.
Yes, though they are costly to care for, so we don't keep many. When I was a child, I often helped my older brothers tend to both our Pegasi and our horses.
I forgot that you have brothers.
Yes, my eldest brother acts as our father's advisor, while the other serves a different family as a knight.
You must have been very close. It's wonderful.
I suppose, though we hardly ever played together, the age gap was just too great. My eldest brother in particular was incredibly strict with me. Whenever I would try to go horseback riding through the hills, he would say, "How dare you do something so dangerous? What if something happened to you?" What's worse, my father agreed with him. It kept me from getting out on too many adventures as a child. Thinking back on it, I understand their concern. I was the only one in the family to bear a crest, after all.
I'm not so certain your crest was the reason for their concern. I think they were worried simply because they love you. You are the youngest, yes? It's only natural for them to want to keep you safe.
Well, it is true we had a mostly good relationship, but
I'm not so sure. They would have treasured you all the same, even if you didn't bear a crest. I used to fuss over my younger brother all the time when we were little, so I understand what it's like to be an older sibling.
I hear you. But I still don't see the need to be quite so overprotective.
You protest, but I can tell you enjoyed their show of affection. In fact...
Mercedes? What are you doing?
I'm ruffling your hair, since your brothers aren't around to do it.
That is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard. Come, we should back to work.
Whatever you say.
I have exhausted most of the Pegasus Corps, so how should I advance the mounted units on the ground?
A tricky proposition indeed. The enemy general won't be foolish enough to miss a chance to seize the advantage here.
If we are going to face the enemy with our remaining troops, it would be best to have the mounted units take up formation in the narrow pass to the east. Then, the remaining Pegasus Knights can attack from the cliffs above and end this quickly. Still, my scouts claim there may be archers stationed on those cliff tops.
Naturally. Everyone knows to expect Pegasus Knights as soon as they see the standard of Galatea. The enemy will doubtless be ready for this.
Yes, it is quite the predicament. I cannot help but wonder what my father or brothers would do. As someone who commands an army of Galatea, withdrawal is not an option.
I don't think you need to rack your brain over this too hard, Ingrid.
But if we fight without any sort of strategy, we will suffer major casualties.
Which might prove to be in your favor. If the enemy sees your back to the wall, they may let their guard down and grow reckless. How many Pegasus Knights stand ready?
Nearly half. Perhaps more if their wounds can heal in time.
Then select the most skilled from among them, and make for the cliff tops.
And fly into the jaws of their trap?
While using the speed of the Pegasi to minimize injury, make it look like you're taking a desperate retreat. Then withdraw your troops. If the enemy thinks they've subdued the famed Pegasus Knights of Galatea, they'll deploy troops from their main fortress, leaving it lightly guarded. Once they do, send a separate unit of your remaining Pegasus Knights to capture it.
Yes, that just might work. You are amazing, Lord Rodrigue. I suppose this comes from your wide range of experience.
Actually, it's a strategy suggested by your brother once upon a time.
My brother? Oh, that's right. I believe he served in Srang while he was still a squire.
Despite his low rank, he astonished us all with his clever suggestions for deploying our flying units.
I have a long way to go if I wish to live up to him. I must prove more diligent about studying strategy.
Very ambitious. My son could stand to learn a thing or two from your example. But you ought not overextend yourself. Make certain to rest those wings every once in a while. I wouldn't be able to face the Count or your brothers if I allowed you to work yourself to exhaustion.
Resting my wings is a rather difficult proposition. I can't very well run about playing games as I did when I was a child. In any case, I thank you very much for the advice. I think I know how to proceed now.
The pleasure is mine, Ingrid. This is a most dangerous strategy, so let's endeavor to make sure we both come out of this alive. Ah, you're back. I heard you went to Fraldaria's territory?
Yes, I had a bit of business to take care of there. I forgot how long it had been.
What was it like to return?
It was always like a second home to me in a way. So being there brought memories flooding back. I found myself taking little detours everywhere, even though I knew I did not have time for such trifles.
And what impression did it give in its current state?
The region itself is quiet and peaceful, but lack of food has left the surrounding towns and villages in a precarious situation. It reminds me of when the people of Galatea territory fought over provisions during famine. If things keep on as they are, there could easily be an uprising.
Perhaps we should ask the refugees to cultivate the land. Ah. But that isn't my decision to make. Thank you, Ingrid. I will let Felix know your thoughts on the matter.
I would appreciate that. Oh, and it's not as if everything has changed for the worse. There were new shops around, and all of the roads were well maintained. It's surprising to see how much has changed over the years.
That's right. You used to visit multiple times a year, when Glenn was still alive.
I did. Yes. Though I might never have visited again if I had not been presented with this opportunity. I am glad I decided to take it. Once this war is over, would you mind if I came to visit Fraldarius land as I once did?
Not in the slightest. You can visit any time you like. I'm sure that Felix and the rest of my family would welcome you with open arms. We certainly owe you that much, considering all you've put up with from my sons.
Not at all. If anything, they put up with me. My brothers are both so much older than me, so Glenn and Felix were among my few friends growing up. Thinking back on it, I feel like I was always ordering Glenn around.
Well, if the time you two spent together helped you in even the smallest way, I am satisfied. And I know Glenn would be overjoyed.
Those days are irreplaceable to me. They will live in my heart forever.
Spoken like a true daughter of Count Galatea. You've grown strong, Ingrid.
Thank you for saying so. Still, I want to keep moving forward as best I can.
Yet it's good to acknowledge one's limits. People are allowed to show weakness, you know. Oh, look at me, talking your ear off, while you're still covered with dust from the road. My apologies.
No, I am grateful for the concern. Thank you.
There's no need for thanks. After all, you're like a daughter to me.
And that's what I got so far. Till next time, guys.